Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Before I go too far into this, I want to throw out a little bit of a alert for a new series coming up, the Legacy Duelist series, otherwise known as LDS. This is ran by the Yggdrasil, the company who sponsors all the ribbits and supplies all the mats. They are now running their own tournament series, I believe. And the first tournament is going to be on this date, right here on the left-hand side, November 1st, Saturday, with a 256 player cap. Huge event. And again, yet again, we're playing for a Darkened Dragon. So if you are in the location of Placentia, California, or nearby, or you like flying and traveling and you want to go play for a Darkened, make sure to show up. And then they got that really cool GOAT format that's going on the second day where they're going to be playing for a super rare Book Moon. Also a very nice card. And then even on the Sunday, the third day, or Sunday, also second day, they have another Edison tournament where you're playing for a PlayStation 5 and a Switch. So absolutely insane pricing going on through that whole weekend. They are also doing a mat when you sign up. So they do I believe it's Return from a Different Dimension, except it is with Monsters sponsored by Vayu Turbo. And their special guest being Macro Show, SoCal Retro Yugs, IRL Yu-Gi-Oh! I believe is the channel name. We got E3, someone I'm not familiar with, and then Team Starlight, who are all going to be there. And they all do make good YouTube videos. In fact, I watch all of them pretty consistently, or at least when they upload content. But if you've been watching, let me delete this real quick, see if I can get rid of these pictures. If you guys have watched my last video, you know that I have taken a break from Gladiator Beast in favor of something that is basically the complete opposite of Gladiator Beast. A full combo deck that is relatively new to the format, pretty unexplored outside of a small handful of players. And today I have a special guest, and who are you and what did you do?
I am Chess Prime or Chess Online. Um, I recently topped the 11th Edison World Championship qualifier library. I got top 16, and I won the uh, Fraser Smith Circuit UK event recently.
Yep, that was a huge win. In fact, I believe that was perhaps like the first ever quote unquote win. It wasn't quite a major. It was a little shy of being the typical 7 rounds that we now consider a major and above. But from what I understand, I'm not real big on online games, but it had a lot of really good players. That's what they keep saying in all the Discord chats I'm seeing. But I guess why do you choose Gigavise? I'm looking at this, and on the left-hand side, we got your list that you just played where you also topped that event that you were just talking about. No, on the right-hand side, we had the event that you used to actually win and what you call your standard build. Can you talk a little bit on the card differences there? And then we had a replay that you wanted to pull up from over the weekend that really exemplifies, kind of combo plays. And I'm just going to shut my mouth and let's hear you talk.
Yeah, sure. Um, well, I play Gigavise mostly because I feel like it is extremely well positioned in the current meta. It does very well into frog decks, and it does very well into Bayou. Um, and with certain choices that we can make in the side deck and the main deck, we can be um, relatively even versus the third of the big three Blackwing, um, while having the innate engine capacity to beat most of Rome and most floodgates that get thrown your way. Um, as long as you put in the work and build up your understanding, I feel like it's an incredibly powerful pick for most events.
You think it
In
has
my,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You think it has a positive matchup into the big three?
I think into Vayu and Hero Frog, absolutely, and I think into Blackwing, it's maybe very slightly Blackwing favored, maybe 50-50. It's hard to.
It's very bold. Can you talk about that a little bit? I think most players, when they're looking at something that is, how do I put this? I played this over at Toledo, and when I was playing, even going into game threes, players were still main decking Trap Dust Shoot and DDVs, where I was expecting none of that going into game three. Certainly, I don't think anyone would. And so I kind of relate that to maybe the experience level against something like Gigavise doesn't really exist for most players. But I think a vast majority of the players who don't really understand Gigavise or haven't tested against it or whatever, they would probably look at this and say, wow, a Blackwing deck with Oppression, Icarus Attack, insert what other powerful traps that are generally just very disruptive and certainly value with all of its everything that has going on. Explain how you think it has even a 50-50 matchup. I think most people would look at something like just looking at the top line of three super solar nutrients and then the miracle fertilizers, and that alone, they'd be like, ah, there's no way. Like, what's your thought process when you see one of these decks?
So with Blackwing, we're doing stuff like in my standard build we have two traps on the main deck, which is extremely effective against Blackwings. It's shutting off the RO that they play. It's going to trade very well into Icarus attack. Um, any trap that tributes for cost or discards for cost, Trapstone is absolutely monstrous against. Um, that matchup specifically, we're just trying to kill because they can out the board with a sure loot combination. If we don't have background to back it up. Um, Post side, we also have the UFO turtles, the bottomless trap holes. UFO turtle getting you access to Limfire without you having to use your normal summon, and increases the ceiling of your combo as well as giving you the ability to soak up damage. And trade with stuff like Collude or Fossil Dino, which is really important. Um, and Vayu is, I mean, everyone at this point should know that Titanial is very strong in Vayu, just naturally. Amaryllis likes fighting against Vayu for a reason. Um, and the way I would describe Gigavise here is that it is similar to Amaryllis in how it beats Vayu, but it has more of an immediate compounding advantage because instead of putting up a board of like token Titanial or loan Titanial, it's putting up a board of Giga with a Vise on it and Titanial, which is representing a sequence of synchro plays on the immediate next turn that will represent a lethal threat or represent an unbreakable board. So the pressure it can put out as early as the first turn is extremely high into value. You're basically validating the entirety of their Hamster Caius package with Thaniel, which means you only have to really deal with their like absurd sacks, absurd high rolls, um, and the floodgates they bring in post board.
I think you said something pretty specific there that a lot of players, maybe when they play this deck, they don't realize it. Again, I can't say that because there's such a small handful of players that play this. But you mentioned just ending on something like Gigaplant and Titanium. I'll take it a step further. Ending on just Gigaplant alone represents a lethal line next turn. I think in my 50 or so matches I've played, having just a turn one 2400 attacker that does what Gigaplant does on the following turn, 2400 is a very good stat line for Edison. It's very good. Two, when you're representing the pressure that Gigaplant gives to say, hey, if you don't out it this turn, well, guess what? Next turn, even if you have Bottomless or Torrent or whatever, I still have Prio. Well, I guess not Torrent, but I still have Prio or whatever it might be that I'm going to be able to get like a huge play on. And I think a lot of people, they don't see that. They think, oh, if I'm just ending like on a Gigaplant, that's basically ending on like an effectless Caius. When in reality, it just means on the following turn you win. It creates a pressure that the other player has to respond to immediately, and not a lot of decks can do that very well.
Yeah, I think Gigaplant is extremely good in that way of like taking initiative over the game. If it can play at all, it is going to force the opponent to play. It's a deck that if it isn't outright winning off of seeing Lonefire Blossom plus Supervise, it's seeing a massive board simplification, which puts cards like Mark of the Rose and Miracle Fertilizer um, and in some cases, DDR if they've activated a bottomless traplet at any point in the game, or if something got banished with Sark, or something got banished with the Black Dragon second effect, or with the Mark, etc. It puts those cards in an extremely good position because those cards are very good post simplification. Those effects are extremely strong post simplification. Like think about how strong Snatch Steal is in Goat format and a very simplified board state. We get to run that with Mark, and then we can search it with hand armory. It's very good. Um, and that's part of the pressure of Gigavise or just a Gigaplant on board is they need to commit their cards immediately to beat that, or they're going to lose.
Yeah, at 2,400, it's probably going to be bare minimum a two-card investment for a card that chances are you got completely free. Um, I like that. I like that. And you said something else, and I've been using UFO Turtle main because I loved it so much. You mentioned you get full combo on UFO Turtle without having to use a normal summon. It creates a barrier, it walls up, it gives an offensive presence that you don't have outside of specifically Gigaplant Titanial or Synchro. Why don't you main the UFO Turtle if it has all these upsides? And in my personal opinion, it makes those early game Gold Sarks even better when you don't have combo because it does create this like one turn wall.
I don't like it in the main deck because it is weak to DDV, weak to Prison, weak to Breako, weak to Caius, weak to um, all of the sort of targeting removal that is coming out post forward. It's
Hopefully. Oh, hopefully.
slower. It is losing its ability to um, beat Dyna because they're not going to have Dyna in the main deck. Um, and I personally prefer Super Solar Nutrient as a more robust way of getting into uh, combo, especially when you aren't having to worry about like dust tornadoes as well.
Oh yeah. Super Solar Nutrient is at first, I'll say when I first started playing this deck, I think it was about 2 months ago. I was like a verified Super Solar hater. Um, I think it's just because I didn't have enough plants. And also, I'll say I'm probably not min maxing the deck by any means when I play. Sometimes I see replays from you, Spore, Dionysus. I know he hasn't played for a while, but Magical Mullet is the other player who's done exceedingly well at large events, actually going 7-0 and unfortunately getting that undefeated first round loss in the top. But it's like after you play so long, you start seeing lines, especially when you add the dandelion, the miracle fertilizers, and getting like these huge brio plays where you use miracle fertilizer 3 times in one turn type stuff. It gets pretty difficult to be able to max it out. But I'm on 2 dandelions now, and I actually appreciate super solar nutrients so much that I would play this in any plant deck that I would run, even if it weren't like a Gigavise deck. Super solar nutrient is like air quotes a 1 for 1 for Lone Fire. Very loose air quotes, but it is such a good card.
Yeah, it and if you're in the position where you have a data token, super slower nutrient, that is just representing like Lone Fire, uh, Gemini Summons Gigaplant and Titanial. Like you don't need any equip, you don't need anything extra. Just that position gets to that extremely pressuring end board.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes your hidden armories a lot better too. Being able to turn
Mm-hmm.
one set of UFO Turtle, go in Lone Fire, and then just full combo next turn, and you'd hidden armory and Miracle Fertilizer with a guaranteed Lone Fire in the grave is supreme. Now on the screen, like I said, on the left hand side we have the list that you played over the weekend where you got top 16, and then the right hand side is the one that you took to the Fraser 1K event and you got first place. I guess here the biggest difference, I would say the most standout card has to be Card Destruction in the main and then Swords of Revealing Light in the side. Like I told you, I personally tried both these. I didn't play, I goldfished them for an entire day and I was not impressed with either of them. Do you keep those going forward? What do you say to other players who are trying new things on and they see, wow, Card Destruction, that's an interesting card?
Okay, I don't want to act as the Gigabytes police. If you enjoy card destruction, if you enjoy UFO Turtle in the main, if you
I love
enjoy
it.
uh, even Monster Gate, I've heard people liking Monster Gate for reasoning. Um, by all means, have fun with it, play it. Um, I will say personally, card destruction was a card that I want to try because um, Marcus H was uh, preaching it to me,
Oh,
and
name drop
I
Marcus H. Name drop Marcus H. You guys heard it here first. Blow up his inbox with questions about Gigaplant.
um we were talking the day before the event, and in amidst the change of the Mark and the Dandy, a swap of Trapstun to card destruction here happened, and I wouldn't do that again. I think it fish bowls very well. It like in test hands when there's not an opponent to consider, it does well. Um,
Mahal? Oh, sorry.
um, but the issue that I was encountering in actual games is that you are resetting when you use it your knowledge of your opponent's hand, your re gets completely upset and
Yeah,
completely removed as soon as you activate it. It turns on the graveyard synergies for Hero Frog, for Blackwing, for Vayu, God Vayu.
that
Um,
deck's crazy. That deck's
um,
crazy. It always is.
yeah. Um, so I don't really like Into the Big Three, and then a lot of other um, like tier two or roguish decks also fold in some graveyard setup type stuff, um, where it ends up being just detrimental in too many game states. And
Oh yeah.
I would rather my opponent play less and I see two more draws without having to pitch my hand than my opponent see more of their deck, get more of an ability to kill me quickly, and I see my two cards right away. That's not a trade off I really want to be making um, in a live duel.
It's almost like the inverse of Reckless Greed, where you see the next two cards, but they don't do anything. Here you see the next two cards, but you've lost because you just gave your opponent full grave access and five new cards, potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. And it's even then, it's if you're using card destruction, best case scenario, you're discarding two cards. One of them might be a Gigaplant, one might be a Dandelion, and then you happen to have Super Solar Nutrient with other combo cards. And you're only drawing two cards. Like it's if you don't have those combos, then you're like, please someone let me draw into two like a random two card combo piece. And your opponent's like, hey, did you hit another Trap Stun and Giant Shrew? And you're like, yep, I guess I lose. So I kind of saw it as like this auto I don't want to say auto lose, but I think in it like only 30% of the situations with card destruction probably be beneficial. And then you also dropped Mark of the Rose down to one.
yeah. Part of that, I will admit up front, I thought with how Seven Equips has been the dogma for so long, it would be really funny to top a six, and I did. Um,
Yeah,
but part of that is, um, of all the equips, which one contributes most to bricks and does the least to get you out of them? I think it's Mark of the Rose.
agreed.
Gigavise obviously
Fully agree.
is part of combo. As soon as you see Lone Fire Blossom, you have the other half of the combo. DDR itself serves as Lone Fire Axis via Sark, and serves as combo on a further turn if you have to play to back row and you go lone for Giga and they go bottomless, which I feel is extremely common when you're playing into back row with this deck. Um, then DDR becomes Giga Access without the normal summon. That's incredibly good. Mark of the Rose works with a Giga Plant in hand, or it banishes a Lone Fire or Giga Plant from graveyard to then be reborn with the DDR. And that situation comes up less frequently um, than the others for the other equips. Um, Also, of all the equips, it is the least detrimental to have to hit an armory for a Mark of the Rose compared to for a DDR or for a supervise. So you are more okay taking the raw axis of Mark's consistency down, because the modified access through Hidden Armory is not as bad as the other two.
I'll tell you, I realized very quickly because a day before, I also spoke to Marcus, got some of his input, like I told you. on some of the cards. And the day before that, I actually also dropped Mark to 1 because I realized very fast a huge majority of my losses were just hitting Mark of the Rose too early in the game. And you just, if you don't have basically Lone Fire Blossom, you're not doing anything with them. Um,
Yeah.
if you do want to do something, then you have to make some weird, awkward play where you get one of your other low-level plants into the grave, which is just like strange if you don't have the super solar nutrient. And I was like, you know what? It's 4 copies of Mark with the hidden armory. 5 if you get it off like a power tool dragon. And DDR was so good. DDR was so good. I wanted to bump it up to 3 to really maximize the Gold Sark combos. And I say that because Gold Sark, to me, Gold Sark's a lose condition. If you're going second and you open up Gold Sark with no combo after it, you specifically need to have Mirror Force, Torrent, or a really powerful Phoenix Blast to survive for the next 2 turns. God forbid if you open up 2 Gold Sarks. So if you have Gold Sark going second, it puts you down 3 turns if you don't have that DDR or Hidden Armor or something to come with it. So I actually took Gold Sark out for, it was exactly 3 hours that I took Gold Sark out. And I said, this is silly. This card does too much. And as like the counterplay to that was I really want to play 3 DDR because DDR just like it does everything. Like you said, it's full combo without a normal summon. It gets you into your what is it? If you have Lone Fire and one other plant, it gets you like a guaranteed supervise with Gigaplant. And it's just such a good card.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing where I'm like, that's probably not a change I would make personally, but I'm not trying to police what people do or don't run in their data lists.
Yeah. But you can give the best advices, I would assume, probably the person who's had more games with Gigaplant, except Dionysus. I played him today, and he has over 10,000 matches.
Yeah, no, he's got an absolutely certain amount
Oh
of
my goodness.
experience. I mean, I've got maybe in terms of games, like 1,500 ish at this point. I guess
Yeah,
I play this deck a lot, not nearly as much as Young Puds, but um, I'm definitely up there. I've been one tricking this deck since its kind of inception when Pro Storm brought it to Worlds last year.
yeah. Interesting. That's good to know. It's really great to have a dedicated player base. And I think that's kind of how I was when I topped at Indy last year with Gladiator Beasts. It's just this deck that I don't want to say no one respects, but I think most players they just kind of they give up on Gigavise. They're like, well, if I play it, I play it. There's going to be 5 of them at a 200-person event, and if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to waste my time worrying on anything. I'm just going to cite in Fossil Impressions, and then pray it works. And then I think what else did you have that was strange? The swords, but we'll talk about that in a second. Oh, I started it real bad there. It was actually you dropped Trap Stun down to 1 copy, and I have to wonder, is that just like a concession of trying other cards? Because I have found Trap Stun to be so good that if Phoenix Wing Blast were not like a 3 of, I would feel comfortable main decking 3 Trap Stun.
I think that if we had the space at all, I would run the third Trap Stun. But doing that really pushes down your ability to maintain combo consistently, I found. So
Yeah.
you just can't, or you have to have a really good reason to do it, or you have to be doing it like post board, which is the plan for some decks.
Yeah, I think I want to go too much into sides because I think you're probably saving a lot of your side strats for these huge upcoming events. By the way, Chess Prime will be going to, was it Chicago and Berlin? If anyone goes out there, stop by, say hi, get your loan fire signed, and I assume you probably want to keep some of your side plans sealed up.
I'm not sure at this point. I'll decide at a later point. If anyone wants to say hi to me at any of those events, I will be probably the only person there in a purple face mask. So there you go.
Heard it here first. Purple face mask, but no, I think the triple trap stun. I'm back and forth on putting in the third trap stun against like Vayu. I think it has like its possibilities, but if I'm already putting in, I also main or side deck MST. So, but if I'm going against Vayu, like the double, triple break or whatever I'm on MST, The third Trapstone I think is maybe a little bit too much, but definitely against frogs when I'm expecting the discard traps. The Aoi is now super popular. The D prisons, the real trap bind that they have, and then of course Blackwings. It's an OTK against Blackwings if you Trapstone them.
Especially if they try to flip RO.
Yeah.
They flip
Oh
RO,
yeah.
you flip traps done, and then you make a combo. You don't even have to kill them, and now they're locked onto their own RO. Like,
It's beautiful. RO stands
yeah,
for Royal Oppression, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, no, absolutely beautiful. Um, what the swords? Okay, I guess the swords is like the last card here that's just like, hey, this is kind of out of left field. What's up with swords?
yeah. This was an old idea where, in this in a similar vein to UFO Turtle, where it is a way to sponge damage to brute force prolong a game to the point where you can combo. Um, and it takes advantage of the fact that many people will hold their MST or hold their dust shoot to interrupt um your combo or dust tornado, dust shoot.
Yeah.
They'll be holding that to interrupt your combo, which will buy you more time through swords to get a sweeper plus combo. Is the idea. Um, it's mid in practice. I knew it was mid in practice. I wanted to revisit it. It's still mid. It's still resoundingly meh. That's all there is to it, really.
So a resoundingly met actually just stands for bad. So you've heard it here
Yeah.
from the Giga Police. You do not run card destruction, you do not main UFO turtle, and you do not run Swords of Revealing Light. Giga Police have spoken. Um, Shoot. Well, I guess your duel just ended. We really didn't get to see it because we spent a lot of time talking. But anyone who watches this will watch that. Do you have any, I don't know, final thoughts on where you want to take the deck? We talked a little bit about keeping some stuff hush hush, but what's some stuff you feel comfortable about for anyone? Because like I think my last video had 800 views of people who were just like, wow, fucking Gigaplant stuff. Like, let's say I get 800 again. What's something that you would want those 800 people to know?
I think that anyone who puts in the effort with this deck, finds some puzzles to do, gets their experience on ladder, asks for help in the Gigavise channel, in the edisonformat.com Discord, or gets to the Gigavise Discord itself, to uh, learn from the people who are more experienced right now. I think anyone could learn this deck to an elite level. I think that a lot of people are scared away by it being a complicated, difficult, and somewhat volatile combo deck, and rightfully so. It's not for everyone, but I think that those factors shouldn't stop you from trying it, and the difficulty shouldn't stop you from enjoying the process of improving, because it is really fun to get better at a thing. And this is something in Edison, a format that's been static, been solved, quote unquote. We have the big three, but um, this is a deck that I can guarantee plays fully unlike any Edison deck you've ever played before, and it's tons of fun. So give it a try. I know you can do well if you put in the work.
I could not agree less, or could not agree more. I could not agree more. There we go. And as someone who absolutely loves commons and rares, rares my favorite rarity. My favorite rarity. This deck falls in line perfectly for me because everything is basically rare. But again, this is Chess Prime. Chess, thank you so much for hopping on. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.